Hello and welcome to another technical takedown the hard way. In today's video we have our beautiful assistant, my daughter, who might pop her head in every now and again. She is off school because, like I said in the last video, all of her teachers have been they've been exposed to the new COVID strain. And they don't know whether or not they have it or not. So I think, yes, baby? Yeah, it's smoke, baby. It's smoke. She's very surprised at this. Oh, yes. Woo. I haven't made a video about taking children overlanding yet. That's because we've never taken a child overlanding before. It's our first ever time. So we're going to do another video about this. And in fact, we're going to do that. We're going to make a video about that after this. We're going to put it on our other channel, the Overland fam channels. Anyway, for now, in today's video, I wanted to discuss commercial vehicles, whether they are a viable option or not for Overland channel. We're going to speak about whether they are viable for the African continent, whether they can suit our needs as a long-term overland expedition vehicle for a family of 4. And we're going to talk. Yes, it is. I know. Oh my God, this is going to be like no. Give me that. Goodness. Anyway, yeah, or else I'm not going to be able to make one. I prefer to do it. And you know what? This is practice. I'm going to need to do overlanding in a vehicle, and I'm going to have this little one with me. So, yeah. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy to overland with children. We're going to talk about the positives and negatives of using a commercial vehicle for overlanding, more specifically for long-term overlanding. First of all, we're going to go through the types of commercial vehicles that we are talking about. The Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. I'm sure you guys have seen that. Many van lifers use the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter as a base vehicle. So it's a very reliable vehicle. I've owned one myself. Iveco Daily. This is not one I've seen quite often here in Europe used as an overland vehicle, but as a vehicle itself for deliveries. UPS use them here in Germany, in German-speaking countries. They are a very durable, very flexible vehicle. So a lot of overlanders who are thinking of making significant mechanical modifications to their trucks, then they will buy these cars because you could do a lot to them. Dodge Ram, that is a commercial vehicle. Toyota Tacoma, I'm not even sure if the Toyota Tacoma is a 100% commercial vehicle. When Toyota designed that vehicle, they designed it with both that car being a commercial vehicle and a vehicle for your normal ABC1 customers. In fact, all pickups tend to be commercial vehicles. There may be one or two out there that aren't, but yeah, the Mercedes X-Class, Toyota Hilux, Toyota Tundra, the MAN trucks, MAN, Mechanics Augsburg, Nuremberg trucks. So you tend to get them. They will outfit those vehicles. We saw one when we was in the Balkans, and yeah, but you even get people modifying their Unimugs. Unimugs are like the Iveco Dailies but a little bit more expensive, which is why people like the Iveco Dailies, because they're just as good, and the platforms are quite new. So what are the positives about owning a commercial vehicle for overland adventure travel? One of the positives is the components that they use. They tend to use very strong components. A lot of van lifers use them because you can stick a lot of things inside your van, and the components were built in the first place from factory to take 2.5 metric tons. Okay, so if you're sticking in a ton of stuff, the van's going to move and it's not going to be that much of a problem. So that's one of the reasons why van lifers and overlanders as well will use those vehicles. So yeah, you have minimal mechanical modifications. If you do a lift with it, you don't have to change the axles because the axles are already very strong. Because the axles are very strong, you can stick reasonably sized tires onto that vehicle to make it more capable off-road. So if you have a good vehicle like that with all the strong components in, you don't have to think about those components breaking, you know, down because you made those types of modifications. Accessibility, so the vehicles themselves are basically used construction sites, fire engines, that type of stuff. That's what these vehicles are used for, and so they need good access, you know, for four men basically. Another thing that's good is that they are normally roomy inside. Okay, they are normally built to take 4 adults in reasonable comfort. So another thing, availability. So a lot of these vehicles are always available because they normally come with a couple of trim levels, you know, 2 or 3 trim levels, and then that's it. Once they have those 3 trim levels, the manufacturers just spit those vans out. They just make them. So there's always thousands available. Gross vehicle weight. So they are able to take a lot of stuff. I think I really mentioned this already with the axles and the components, the strength of the components. So the roof can take a lot of stuff because it's built. So you can have a big rack on that roof because most of these commercial vehicles tend to be built with businesses, small businesses, large businesses in mind. They're going to put things on top of that roof for extra cargo space. So yeah, that's another reason. And also the most important one, simplicity. Okay, so they tend to be very simple, engineered very simple, so they can be fixed very quickly, and then boom, they can get them back out onto the streets. Okay, so let's quickly go over some of the negatives of commercial vehicles or long-term vehicle-based adventure travel. Number one is the trim levels. Like you said before, they tend to be quite standard, but they know that these cars are going to be abused, so they don't build them with wonderful leather, comfortable interiors. They build them knowing in mind that you're going to get some dirty, dusty, you know, guy who's been working on the building site all day, sweaty, needs to get back home, he's going to get back in the van. They have that in mind, so it's more important for them to have the vehicle, have the interior as durable as possible, so that interior can be kept clean. But that generally means that the interior doesn't tend to be that luxurious. Number two, bad road manners. They don't tend to be, you know, engineered very well. Most of them don't have independent front suspension, okay, do they? So this is another reason why people like using these vehicles, but, you know, it means that the types of road handling is not going to be brilliant, and I know it's not a sports car, but you're going to want to have some decent road handling, you know, for safety. I think as well that once it gets onto bumpy roads, they're really useful here in the city, in the West, in the developed world, but if you get up onto roads which aren't so developed, those can become a problem. They tend to be efficient to a point. You got to remember, you know, if you're running a business, you just want to get your stuff from A to B. They don't really mind too much about making this vehicle as efficient as possible, although it is quite important. What's most important is that you stick all your stuff inside and the axle is not going to be breaking. Okay, so the axle is big, the components are big, thick, hard, you know, tough, but they tend to be heavier than your normal vehicle, everyday vehicle that you see out on the streets. If they are heavier, then it means they're not going to be as efficient overall as a vehicle. Another thing is, in order to have it to a state in which it is habitable, you're going to have to do a lot of modifying, and I mean modifying the interior living space, whatever you're going to build around it, a lot of modifications to it. If you put all that together with the fact that you're going to be spending the best part of 10 hours in your vehicle every single day, you know, and you're going to be bumpy, and it's not going to be that efficient, so you can't really get that remote, and you're going to be spending tens of thousands before you leave modifying that vehicle to make sure that it's livable. If you add all that together, yeah, there can be quite a few negatives to buying a vehicle for long-term overland adventure travel if you haven't done a good job of building the vehicle. So to cap it off, is it any good? Is it a viable option for us to take a commercial vehicle? Well, the quick answer to this is no, not really. For a few reasons. For one, we need a vehicle which is going to be comfortable for all of us, you know, that we are going to be able to spend long amounts of time in and enjoy our experience of driving the vehicle. In general, these types of overland vehicles that are built on commercial vehicles, they don't tend to be places that you want to spend huge amounts of time in. Especially if you have a family and you have, you know, your children there, you want them to be able to enjoy the experience and relax and put their chair backs and sleep if they wish. You know, you're not going to be able to do that in a commercial vehicle. Number two is if we want to get remote, and I'm not sure if we want to get remote, but we can't have a long wheelbase traffic Renault van because you're not going to be able to get off very far off the beaten path with one of those vehicles because they don't have a really good ride height. So yeah, a vehicle like that wouldn't be any good for us. So we don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars modifying a vehicle before we leave. You know, we can hardly afford a vehicle, period. So if you put all that together, in general, no, I don't think it would be good for us. You also got to think about spare parts as well. I'm not sure if they'll have many spare parts on the African continent for an Iveco daily. It'd be better for us and a lot more time efficient, a lot more cost efficient for us to just buy a vehicle that we can use both as a daily here and also that will be able to take the roads in Africa and bring us around very comfortably and very happily and, you know, get us to the point in which when we get back to our starting destination, we can say, brilliant, let's go again. So guys, that's all I've got time for today. I'd like to thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.